Hey, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Merlin Switzer. Hey, thanks for stepping in. We're going to be talking about managing conflict today. Here's the definition, one of my favorites. Conflict, a process within which one party perceives that its interests are being opposed or negatively affected by another party. And actually, when you look at the literature, it says that the top 3 reasons that conflict or the environment in which conflict occurs has to do with 1, relationship, secondly, task, third, process. So these are areas that are ripe for conflict, especially if you're a company that is driven by deadlines. For example, if you're a CPA firm and April 15th is coming, you can almost be assured that the possibility of conflict rises because of the tension, the stress as that deadline approaches. Depending on your industry, it may be a different time of the year, multiple times of the year. So how does that conflict impact your team? Well, the managing conflict profile is certainly a way to look at that. But at its core, most of us learn how to engage in conflict, whether healthy or not, from our family of origin, how we grew up, how we saw conflict being managed by our parents and in our home. And the reality of it is we bring that into the workplace. And so in the workshops that we do, we help a team explore where does that conflict occur. What percentage of that conflict, for example, is relationship conflict, which, by the way, is the most deadly and often has to do with differing values among team members. What percent is task or what percent is process? And so we explore that as a team. And let me just say straight up, the conflict is not all bad. There's some really great stuff that comes out of conflict. It causes us to think deeper about the issues. It causes us to look and explore why a particular perspective or point of view adds value. And it's often in that difficult or challenging time that we come up with better solutions that are more thought out and ultimately more supported by the team. One of the things I'm a strong advocate of is developing managing conflict guidelines. And I work with lots of companies, and few have taken the time to define rules of engagement. How do we involve or engage in conflict in our organization? And so that's really worth spending some time, is developing guidelines around managing conflict and keeping those guidelines in a place where that conflict is likely to happen. Most often, it happens in the conference room where we get together as a team to talk about what we need to do and the priorities and things like that. It happens in our executive team meetings where we're thinking about changes going on in our organization and how we want to implement those changes. Priorities of when we're going to, or how we're going to allocate money in the coming budget year. I mean, it happens in all different kinds of contexts. The most important thing is how are we going to manage it? And so I just want to encourage you to think about that with your team. How will we manage conflict more effectively, leveraging the good aspects of conflict without falling prey to the negative ones that so often happens? And our ability to manage that will really contribute to the extent to which we are a high-performing team or we get stuck in what we call storming, which is not a good place to stay. And yet I work with teams on a regular basis that sometimes are stuck in this storming phase, often for years. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you got something useful. Have a great rest of the day.